Hello there and welcome to Loco for Leeds. It's my channel where we talk all things Leeds United, and in the lead up to the Brighton game at the weekend, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Seb Carole, former Leeds and Brighton winger. Seb, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm very well, thank you. Considering the circumstances, gotta keep smiling.
Good man. So we'll
Yeah,
chat today about your time at Leeds and Brighton. So I'll start off, Seb, with your time at Leeds. So you arrived, Seb,
of course. Yeah.
at Leeds in 2006, summer of 2006, from Brighton. Um, what was your first thoughts of Leeds when you arrived, Seb? And obviously, we just failed in the playoff final. So was there a bit of an over sort of a hangover, or was it kind of a let's go and get promoted this time? What was your first impressions of it all?
Well, first and foremost, before I joined the club, I knew how massive it was. Um, Leeds shows their interest toward end of the season, 2005, 2006.
Mhm.
Um, the idea was, I think it was just slightly before the playoff game. Cardiff was it against Watford, if I remember well. That was a
Yeah,
long
that
time
was
ago.
it. We got beat 3
Wait,
nil.
was it Watford? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So the idea of playing Premier League football with such a massive club was the best thing that could have happened.
mm,
Unfortunately, we've lost that game,
yeah.
but that didn't stop me from joining the club anyway. Because
Right.
um, I enjoyed my time at Brighton. I've had a wonderful time, but giving the opportunity to join such a great club, I couldn't just deny it. And I had to go whether they went Premier League or Championship. And I knew the ambition of the club was to going back to Premier League. So at the time, it was the right decision for me to join the club.
Yeah,
And so yeah, no regrets at all. That was a really great decision to make. It was a long time ago, but at the time, I remember my feelings. And even you probably don't see it now, but I was so glad that a club like Leeds was interested in me in the first place.
yeah. I mean, I remember you coming in, and it was quite exciting. You know, you coming in and quite an exciting player to join. And obviously, like you said, we'd
Thank you.
just lost in the playoff final, which was gutting. Um, so obviously, you made your debut in the 1-0 win over Norwich. You came on as a second half sub for David Healy that day. You played at Ellen Road for Brighton the previous season, hadn't you, said? But
Yeah,
what was it
yeah,
like?
I remember it again.
Yeah, you'd have fond memories of that one. You scored, didn't you, in that game?
I did.
Yeah,
I
that
did. I think so.
3-3
Second
draw.
goal, I think as well. Yeah, yeah.
You did.
We
Second
drew three.
goal,
Is
it
it?
was
Was
a
it 3-3? Yeah.
three each. Yeah, 3-3 draw. But obviously, what was your first impressions of Ellen Road? You know, playing as a home a player.
Um. Wow. I had the experience, as you said, to play against Leeds previously, and the atmosphere was just amazing.
Mm.
Uh, Great experience as a opponent in the first place. So the idea to play first home game, coming as a substitute for David Daly, I think he scored. Was it a penalty he scored? We,
He
were- we
did. He
won. We won
scored
one
a
nil.
penalty. We won
Yeah,
1-0. Yeah.
and well, that was one of the things I loved the most at the club. That was the home atmosphere, the fans, the cheering, the noise you could hear. I mean, well, you know better than me, but I've joined the club as a championship player, and then even though we battled and we struggled, went into administration the following season, the atmosphere kept the same. I mean, it's unbelievable to just get 30,000 something in a stadium. Doesn't matter whether you're the Premier League, Championship, League One, and I'm sure even if the club went to League Two, we still had 35,000 coming and
Um,
join us.
um,
You know, and that's what I think I love the most about the club. To be fair, obviously my first experience after I signed, I was overly uh, glad about it. I kept on smiling. Well, I smile all the time, but Oh my
Yeah.
God. The first time I stepped on the pitch and playing in front of the fan and started by the win, that was just a great emotion.
Yeah, so obviously,
There's no
like you
feeling to
say, was
describe it.
yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like. Actually, I'd love to step out, you know, at Ellen Road. It'd be great that. But I mean, we started really well, Seb, didn't we? Obviously, that 1-0
We
win.
did.
But Kevin Blackwell was the manager at the time, wasn't he, mate? And
Yeah, there was, yeah.
how did you find Blackwell management? You know, because I've actually heard some quite negative sort of responses to questions of Kevin Blackwell. But how did you find
I
him
know,
personally?
I know I've heard the rumors, but I can tell you now that that was all wrong. Kevin Blackwell is a great manager. Well, his training session was, I still remember them. Very hard physically. But he wanted to play a kind of football the right way.
Yeah,
And I mean, you got to give the man some credit. He brought the club to the Champions League final in the playoff the season before. And the fact that they got rid of him by early September, I think that was still early on. We had a few new signings, and by the time everything settled and you play as a team and you play the right way to entertain the fan and to get efficient and get results at the same time, it takes a little bit of time. I don't think at the time the chairman gave him as much time as he needs. To be fair, the atmosphere in the dressing room was great. You have leaders, you had young players coming in, following, stepping in. So I think everything was positive, and I think giving more time, he would have been successful. And well, nobody would know what would have happened if he had stayed, but we don't know, do we?
well, that's it, Seb. We don't know, and to be honest, yeah, we'd got to the playoff, obviously playoff final the season before. You know, you don't know. We might have. It was a bad start, wasn't it? Only 7 points from the first 8
Yeah,
games, mate. And
yeah,
obviously, it was early September, I think, that he got the sack.
yeah.
And obviously, then Dennis Wise came in about a month later. I mean, how did the atmosphere change when Dennis Wise came in, or was it? How did you find him as a manager?
Well, Phil, you've got to think as when you come in as a manager, and obviously you didn't choose the signing that and the players that been brought in to the club in the first place. It's really hard, and you've got to make some harsh decision. It's a different manager, different style of play. It's got a different philosophy, and we all know managers wants what's best for the club. And well, it didn't go down well to start with Dennis Wise when he first came. If I've got to be honest, and he knows it, but I love him anyway.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, Dennis was great with Gus Poyet. I think their partnership as together, Dennis was kind of the speeching guy, giving directions, try to motivate the troops, if you know what I mean. Gus Poyet was more on the technical and the skills onto the pitch. The technical guy tell you what to do, where to go, how to play. And I think it was a great combination. Obviously, as I said, it didn't go down well when he first came, but I've got so much respect because after a few weeks, he realized I wasn't what he thought I was, and then I started to play again, and we had a really trustworthy relationship, and I think that's what matters. I think what a player wants, especially when he's not involved as much as he wish, is to give him as much respect as you can. And as long as managers respect players, players will give them the respect in return. And I think that relationship, it doesn't matter whether the player plays or not. When he will get involved, he'll step in and play as good as he can.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
You had a good run in the side, didn't you, under Dennis Wise, Seb? And so, was he quite aggressive when he came in? And was he quite? He didn't quite get the atmosphere of the dressing room then, or what was it that he didn't quite get?
Dennis Wise is a very friendly guy. He works really close with his players. He's got a really close relationship with the players. He go down in the dressing room and make some jokes with players. He go in the canteen after after training session and carry on joking about like messing around with players. He was still young at the time. He was a young manager. So I think when you're young, you still got that thing in your mind when you're not playing, but you're not far from it. So you still got the jokes, the messing around with players. Of course, when you're on the training ground and when you step for games, he's got a serious like attitude and mind, but he's really, really close and very friendly with everyone.
That's really good to hear.
I think that's why he's got, so much success when we went down League One and we've got that 15 points deduction. See the start of the season, it went well. You should have seen the number of players that was waiting for contract because they couldn't sign because of the administration. I think there was 8 or 9 players without a contract, couldn't sign it, but stayed anyway. That was because of Dennis Wise and Gascoigne.
Oh, wow.
Simple as.
Oh, nice. Well, I'll get to that in a little bit, Seb, and I will go into that in a bit more detail, you know, the -15 and everything. But who was your, you said the dressing room was quite positive and everything. Who was your who did you pal around with? Who did you mate around with in that time at Leeds? And kind of when you came in, who sort of helped you settle into to Leeds as a city as well as a club?
The first player would be Rui Marquez, and I think the reason why it's because when we went to, is it Norway? I think it was Norway. He was my roommate. Oh, so obviously when you're roommating with someone, so obviously you get to know him first before you get to know the rest of the squad. So he's been there 6 months before me, I think. And he came late because he was coming back from the World Cup, I think, with Angola.
Played for Angola, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So when he came in, he kind of introduced me to the club, to the lads, to everyone. As for German Bedford as well, was there like 6 months or a year before me. Same as, and I remember my guy Gary Kelly. He was my right back, to be fair. I had to get on well with him because he was I wasn't the greatest defenders or tracking back, so he would do the work for me. So I had to get on well with him. But Gary Kelly honestly was a great guy in the dressing room, funny as hell. Always brings some positives in the dressing room. He's a great guy. And if I remember someone, that was him. Getting the dressing room together.
Yeah, real legend, isn't he? Gary Kelly, Seb, real legend, real club legend. Yeah, so I mean, so when Dennis Wise came in, I mean, you mentioned Gus Poyet there, Seb. I mean, I'll get to Gus in a little while again. But when he came in, only 10 wins from the 33 games he had in the Championship with us that first season, which obviously resulted in us getting relegated, unfortunately. But what can you remember about the kind of time that we were relegated? You know, about there was that Ipswich game, wasn't there? That things went a little bit sour. You know, what can you kind of remember about that kind of time? Relegation was confirmed and everything like that.
Not a great feeling. Really hard time for us, for the club, for the manager. But again, and I'm afraid I'm going to repeat myself, but as a new manager, when you come in, it's that people need to understand how difficult the job is. You've got about 25 something players. You've got a previous manager that did something, didn't quite work well. You come in, you try to make something different, and again, it takes time. For us, it took a whole 6-7 months, and unfortunately, we didn't avoid the relegation. Forget about the financial problem. On the sporting side of it, we try as hard as we can to avoid it, but at some point, and I'm not talking about giving up, but at some point we've got to be realistic, and you've got to work towards next season and prepare for it. So I'm not saying like towards the end of the season we kind of give up, but when you watch your table and you aware of the financial problem of the club, as a manager, you think, okay, do you know what? I'm going to build for the future. And that could have worked pretty well, given the fact that we went down, given a 15 points deduction, and almost went back up. So that could have worked well. It didn't, but I think that was I don't know. For the club, that was a good decision. Sometimes you've got to go down, start fresh, and then build up. It works for clubs.
No, I agree.
But,
I mean, as good as it was, as obviously a fan that we went down, you sometimes have to go down and then come back up. And like you say, it took a little bit of time for Dennis Wise and Poyet to get his ideas in, but it did eventually work, didn't it? You know, and obviously we got relegated. We started with -15, like you say, Seb. I mean, what was the feeling amongst the lads at the time? -15 and everything against us. And did it at any point cross your mind to leave Leeds? Or like you say, there were a lot of lads that were wanting to sign contracts that couldn't. Did it ever come across your mind to leave?
honestly, I'm going to lie if I say it didn't. It did cross my mind for 1 second.
Yeah.
Only. And because I'm going to tell you why. It's because when we started pre-season, we went to Germany, and the way Dennis Wise and Gus Poyet brought the players together, that was just amazing. That was fantastic. And this is why we had such good results at the time. It's not about the abilities of players. It's not about the skills or whatever. You need it to play. Of course, you need it. But it was just the all togetherness that we had at the time. Because as a contracted player, and as all contracted players, we were aware of 8 or 9 players that wasn't getting paid, that couldn't sign their contract because of the circumstance of the club.
Yeah.
And still, when we went on tour pre-season, the way the management team brought the lads together, that was amazing. We used to say that we felt like a family. I used to come early at training, but I was coming even earlier and leaving later because I enjoyed it. I enjoy being around the lads. And that's why. And the league, when they put the 15 pounds deduction, they give us the strength to fight.
Yeah.
I think, giving us that. Because if we had done that, maybe we wouldn't fought as hard as we had. I don't know. But that 15 pounds deduction brings you together. That's what I think. And that's why it works well.
I think it did. It did. I mean, you could see it on the pitch. You know, the team were playing as a unit, and like you say, as a family. You know, you could tell that the lads get on, much like it is now actually at Leeds. Really, you know, that kind of feel of togetherness. And obviously, we wiped it out in double quick time. That -15 points, 7 wins in a row at the start of the season, and we hit 0 against Hartlepool, Seb, and you were part of that. You played in that game, didn't you? What was it like, that match? You know, that 2-0 win after the game, knowing that we'd hit 0 points. You know, what was the atmosphere like in the dressing room? What can you remember?
It was an amazing feeling, but it happened before that.
Yeah.
It happened when we knew we could beat a record when we drew against Gillingham. We were gutted not to get that win.
Yeah.
But we knew we were going to scrap these 15 points early on and get back into the league. And if I remember well, by December we had what, 3rd or 4th already?
Yeah, I think so.
But you should have seen people's faces after the Hartlepool game. Such a great feeling. I mean, see the smile on people's face, see how happy they are. It felt like we won the league, but we were far from it. But it felt like it.
Yeah, it was such a great day, that one. It's such a great result, and yeah, it was brilliant. We started so well, but what was it like playing, Seb, a league lower than you had been used to? Obviously, you'd been playing as well with Brighton the season before, before you joined Leeds in the Championship. Then you played in the Championship with us, and then you dropped down into League One. What was the difference in the quality? How did you find it?
Well, at the time, and now we're talking about like 15 years ago now. Because nowadays the football doesn't matter whether you play League One, League Two. They all try to play some kind of football. But 15 years ago, Premier League clubs, Championship clubs were trying to play some attractive football, whereas League One, League Two clubs we play a more physical way.
Yeah.
So I found it not hard, but we had such a great squad, so I didn't feel like playing League One football, to be honest. And the fact that when you stepped on the pitch and you see 30,000 something people cheering us, you don't feel like playing League One football. I'm sorry to say, but that's true. You feel like playing. I'm not going to say Premier League. That's probably a little bit much, but you felt like you never went down. And
that just elevates.
That was all thanks to the fans.
Yeah, it just elevates, Seb, doesn't it? The size of the club there, like you say, and you're playing in front of all them fans. You don't feel like it's a League One game. Did you feel like, obviously, we had a lot more quality than the majority of the teams that we came up against in that year?
Yeah, I think we had. If you look at the team we had, most of the players that came in or players that stayed, they're Championship Premier League players. You look at Alan Thompson, who joined that summer. He's a Premier League player. He's a Premier League legend. So still, Leeds United doesn't matter whether you're in League One, still attracted good players. So we had a good squad, and that's why it never felt like you were playing League One football. Of course, you were playing League One clubs, but we didn't see which club we were playing against. We are playing to win games. Simple as.
So
it doesn't matter whether you play. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether we play Arsenal or Luton Town. You've got to win that game, especially when you want to go back up.
That's it. So you didn't even take that much notice, Seb, of who the opponent was. It was just sort of tunnel vision. Let's just win the games and get back into the Premier League and get
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's be focused on what we need to achieve.
Is there any games that stand out? Is there any games that stand out, Seb, for you in that League One campaign, that first?
There's one game I remember, and strange enough, I took part of it. I think I came on for I can't remember who, but Gillingham at home.
Right.
I think I came on last 20 minutes. I think the fans were asking Gary McAllister to make me come in at the time, which he did at the end. And if I remember, we scored Bradley Johnson scored a fantastic goal from one of the cross. That volley he put in the top corner. That game was special because the feeling we had as a team, especially when we scored that goal. I think we won. Did we win 2-1? I think that game, yes.
I think it
we won 2-1
yes.
and we drew 2-2. Yeah. That game was special emotionally. We could feel that the fans were behind us, the cheering, all the noise, the togetherness of the team on the pitch after we scored that goal. See, I didn't take part. I didn't start that game, but it doesn't matter. I came in. I was involved. Everybody was involved, and that was the spirit. And if I need to choose a game, that would be the Gillingham at home that season.
Lovely stuff. Do you still talk to any of the lads that you played with in that season, Seb? Because there's quite a good group of lads, like you say, and some of them went on obviously to play Premier League football. So do you still keep in touch with any of them at all?
A few of them. Well, it's hard to keep in touch for 15 years, but I still keep in touch with Matt Heath, our centre back. Yeah, Heath is around. I play some 5-a-side with him sometimes. He's a great lad. You must remember Trezor Condell. Come on.
Oh yeah.
TK, crazy guy. Yeah, so funny guy.
Great player.
He was a great player, strong.
He had a real good partnership with Beckford at the time. Shook up a real
the best you could find in the league.
It was great. Condell and Beckford, fantastic partnership it was. But obviously, Seb, going back into that season, obviously Dennis Wise left, didn't he, for Newcastle, the role at Newcastle. And Gary McAllister eventually came in. What did you think at that time? Because obviously you didn't feature as much under McAllister, did you? So were you disappointed to see Wise go and McAllister come in? And how did you find Gary Mack as a manager?
Well, the danger when the manager goes and another one comes in, when you play, it's like, as I said, it comes with a different philosophy. And any player could tell you, okay, how's that gonna work for me now? Gary McAllister came, and he had the philosophy of playing the right way as well, like good football. He brought few players in on loan. Of course, I wasn't involved as much as as I wished at the time, but it didn't matter because he gave me the respect I deserve. So I had to give him the respect in return. This is how it works, and this is why I never complained. I just kept on working. Can't remember his assistant. Who was his assistant at the time? Was it John Gannon and Steve? I can't remember his last name.
Actually, Seb, I can't remember.
Yeah, but they were talking to me a lot, saying like, Seb, listen, I know you're not playing as much as you wish, but like keep your heads up. You get involved at some point, and you will be important for us. Which I was at the end. Where I was a little bit disappointed is not to be involved in that playoff final. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be on the bench, try to bring something if needed. But he made another decision, and well, at the end, you've got to respect that.
I'm going to ask you about that final, Seb. Like you say, I know you weren't involved, but you were involved in the semi-final, weren't you, in the second leg
Yes.
against Carlisle? What did that, that feeling of Johnny Howson scoring in the last minute? How was that as a player to be sat there, watching that and feeling that in the dressing room afterwards? You're off to Wembley. What was that like?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's no word to describe it. I know I chose the Gillingham game at home, but I could have chosen that Carlisle game. Simple as when Johnny scored that goal. And if you see that goal again, you could see look at Johnny's face.
Yeah,
he says it all. It just says it all.
He can't believe it, can he? He's wearing this shirt, isn't he, as well, Seb?
It's such a proud moment.
Yeah.
And you thinking, okay, we've done the good work now. We've got the blessed to play. And but at that particular moment, you don't think about the next game. You don't think at the moment, wow, what have we done here?
Yeah.
What have we done?
And what were the conversations in between that one, getting to the final and the final then, Seb? Because obviously, unfortunately, like you say, you weren't involved. How did Gary McAllister kind of break that news to you before the game?
Again, and I'm afraid I'm going to repeat myself, but he did call me. We were at the hotel in London. He called me down to his room and gave me the news face to face. And you've got to respect that, because some people, some managers will not even talk to you. They're just going to choose a squad, not even talking to you, like you're not involved, you're not part of it. But when the manager asks you to come down to his room and say, listen, I'm going to go for this instead of that, but I want you there with us, then you feel like you're part of the team. So, of course, you're disappointed. I'm gutted I didn't play, because you want to play, you want to be involved. I tried to change his mind. I remember saying, oh, come on, Gaffer. If we lose in 1-0, you'll need me to step on the pitch and try to make the difference. And I said that. And he said, yeah, but I want to go for something else. And I said, okay, I respect that. No problem. And I'm afraid we lost 1-0 to Doncaster. And my prediction was right. Needed me there.
Well, we did, Seb, as a fan, though, you were one of them players that even if you weren't starting a game, you come off the bench, you'd kind of change it. You'd be one of the attacking threat that had changed the game. And yeah, it's disappointing that you weren't involved in it, because we lost 1-0. I mean, obviously you must have been involved in the dressing room after that one. I mean, it must have been crushing to obviously lose that one. And obviously we ended up not getting up, and I suppose your time at Leeds after that, said it came to an end, didn't it? What were the kind of conversations after that? Obviously we've lost in the playoff final. What was the conversation with how you were going to be involved in the squad after that, going into the next season?
Well, again, I remember a phone call from the gaffer, from Gary McAllister. I was on the day, was at my parents' house, and he just said that he will bring some players in, that I had 1 more year on my contract, and he said if I had another option, he'll let me go. Right. And I think that was I'm going to talk about one of my biggest regrets in my career, about making decisions, because in your life, it's all about making the right decision. Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't know it's the right one until you made it. But you've got to take all part to make the good one. And I don't think I made the right one at the time. So he gave me that choice. And now I'm a little bit wiser now. I'm thinking if a manager tells you that he'll let you go if you've got any other option, you should even fight harder. I was in a good place. I was in a good club. There was a good manager trying to play the right way, the way I like to play football. I think I should have stayed and fight harder. Of course, it would have been hard for a few months, but eventually, especially if the result didn't go really well, he'll need you and he'll change something. And if you keep your heads up and you keep working hard, then he'll probably call you back. But I took the easy way, and we found a mutual agreement, and I left. And I regret that because I didn't want to. I think I was bad advised by my agent at the time, but it doesn't matter. It's my decision, and I'm a big guy, and I should have made the right decision. I didn't.
So you actually, you regret, you think you should have stayed. So McAllister was bringing in other options, and then he said, right, it's up to you if you want to stay, and you decided to go. And that's, that's a shame. I suppose, like you say, Seb, though, but you learn from things, don't you, and everything. And you went to Darlington, didn't you, after that? And then
I did, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you overall then, Seb? How do you find your time at Leeds? How do you define it? Obviously, am I right in saying you're still in and around the West Yorkshire area now?
Yeah, still in Wetherby. We bought in 2006. Area is fantastic. It's good for kids. It's a great area, so we can stick around.
Yeah, because am I right in saying as well, Seb, that your son's involved in the youth system at Leeds as well?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's an under-18 player on a scholarship contract.
Fantastic. Well, good luck to him, and hopefully we can look out for him in the first team very soon, Seb. Hopefully we'll be given a chance.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. But how do you define it then, Seb? Your career. How do you look back on it? And what are your thoughts of Leeds, and how do you remember them?
Well, overall, as I said, I've got a few regrets, but the decision I made makes me who I am today, and I like the person I am today. So I'm not going to regret for that. I enjoyed my time at Leeds. I've lived some amazing moments, and I know people will probably think Seb only spent two years and something at the club. How could you say that he loved the club and everything? But it doesn't matter how long you stayed. It's a moment that you lived, the person that you met, the games that you remember, the atmosphere that you remember. It's all the souvenirs that I have at the club. And of course, there's up and down during the career. And at the time at the club, I had some up and down. I've known about 5 or 6 managers. It was hard at times, but still, overall, massively positive experience. I'm glad I signed for the club. I don't regret that at all. If I had to start again, I would sign again in 2006 and start again. So no, overall, like very good experience, amazing. And this is why my son is playing for the club now. Otherwise, I wouldn't put my son in there.
How does he find it? How does he find it, Seb, at Leeds? Does he enjoy it?
He loved it. He loves it. Sorry. He found it difficult since Marcelo Bielsa took in charge, because the philosophy that we have is very demanding.
Yeah.
As you know, Marcelo Bielsa is in charge of first team. But what I like about him is put down this philosophy down to under 16, under 14. That means those young players are already playing the same style of play as the first team, which is great. Because if you've got an under 18 player, if he's physically ready, skill ready, ability-wise ready, then he can step up into the first team and not be surprised by the football they play, because they've already played it. So he found it really hard physically, but he's a very, very good player. He's skillful. He's got great ability. And I think the one thing that he has more than what I had as a player is dedication to work hard. He's got that mentality, his mindset.
Good.
So
That's really good to hear, Seb. You know, and it's Keenan, isn't it? Keenan Carroll.
yes,
So
yeah,
we'll, you know, we'll follow him, and hopefully, like, there is a pathway. He hopefully can see the pathway into the first team, like you say, because they play the same way. You know, some
yeah,
of the young lads obviously that were involved on Sunday as well. So there must be, you know, there's a pathway, clear pathway for him to get into the first team. So hopefully he does. You know, all the best of luck
absolutely.
to him. And
Thank you.
and yeah. So going back then to your career, Seb, and we'll talk about your time at Brighton then, mate. And I'll take you back to before you played for Leeds. So you signed for Brighton in 2005.
Yes,
And it wasn't your first time in English football, was it? You'd had a little spell at West Ham.
I
But
did.
how did you find it in Brighton, and what made you pick Brighton as a team? Did you have any other offers on the table at all at the time?
At the time, I'm going to be honest, no. I was at Monaco as a young player. Monaco has a little bit money to spend on big stars. It would have been hard for me to fight against them and get some game time. And I think as a young player at the time, I was in a rush to play first team games.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke to the manager at the time, who was DJ Deschamps, and Sam, he said, Seb, I want you around. You're very young. Yeah, you're young players. You get some game time. Obviously, you're not going to be a starting lineup every time, but you get some game time. We've got the French Cup. We've got the League Cup. We've got Champions League games. There's so much game that at some point you play. I I kind of didn't listen to him, and I said,
No,
told my
no.
agent to try. Yeah, told my agent try to find another option when I could get to game time and play week in week out. But that I don't think I took my the football as a job enough. I took it like more of my hobby, like I was still playing with my friends. And I think that's why I made some wrong decision at the time. Because what people can think whatever they like, but at the end of the day, you've got to enjoy football, but it's your job, and you've got to think as a well. If you're a journalist or if you're an entrepreneur, you think as a like when you make your decision, you think as a like business wise, and football players shouldn't do any different because that's their business, that's their job. And I think at the time I took it more like a hobby, just wanted to play football. So that's what I left Monaco, which is a great club with Champions League football, to go to Brighton. I went to visit the club summer 2005, met Mark McGee, met the chairman at the time was Dick Knight. Great people, honestly, great people. Uh, it wasn't the greatest club in the world. If you look at Wisden Stadium, the training facility, there was no kit man, so you had to wash your own training kit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a big step down from Monaco, where you live in your bubble and, and everything.
Well, you were involved
Uh,
in the Champions League final squad, weren't you, that season? Where you said against
the thing,
Monaco?
no, I wasn't involved, and that was because I left on loan to West Ham. I
Ah,
came back before. Yeah, I came back before. Wasn't part of it. I was there, but I wasn't part of it. So, so again, that was another bad decision to make to go out on loan to West Ham. But that's another that's another thing.
yeah.
Um, um, so yeah, so no, going from Monaco to Brighton, I think it was good for me because people enjoy my football, and I think I've played 43 games out of 46, and that's what I wanted, and that's what won my move to Leeds United after that. So it worked out pretty well to me, the way I see it now.
Yeah, it
So
did.
no,
It
no
did
regret
work.
about that.
Yeah, it worked out quite nicely for you. Did you have any kind of what was your kind of thoughts of dropping down into the second division? You didn't have any kind of what that wasn't an issue for you to go, you know, from like you say Monaco to the English second division. That wasn't in your thinking. Just you wanted just to go and play basically.
Well, that was the first question all the squad at Brighton asked me. What the hell are you doing here, Seb?
Yeah.
And I just said, well, I couldn't speak very well of English at the time, but
Yeah.
I kind of said, you don't understand. I just want to play. I just want to be on the pitch, enjoy my football, which I did at Brighton. Matt Maggie was great with me. He used to come to me and say, "Do you know what, Seb? I put you on the right side, but do whatever you want." This is the way he was talking to me, and I had this freedom on the pitch because he liked the way I play. So as a player, you can only enjoy it when the manager talks to you that way. Especially, I was still young. I was 21, 22. So when a manager talks to you that way, you just think, "Oh, okay, I'm going to give my best and do what I need to do to perform and to make the team successful."
And so, did you enjoyed your time under Mark McGee? Then was he a good manager? You think for
It
you?
was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I couldn't understand the jokes he was making, but I could sense that he was making a lot. He was taking part in training session. Well, being a striker himself, he was still playing with us.
Oh,
I remember.
really? Wow.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Oh,
it
very
was.
good.
Every time we were missing a player, him stepping in with Bob Booker. He was his assistant at the time.
Oh, wow.
But no, that was good.
Good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the facilities or the stage. I enjoyed it because I've played some football.
Good, because and again, who in that squad? Who did you have in that Brighton squad? Said that helped you settle into England? Because obviously you had a little spell at West Ham, but it was really your first kind of prolonged stay in England. Who helped you out in that way? And you know who were your friends in that squad, in that Brighton squad at the time?
But first, I came early in August, and don't know if people remember, but another French goalkeeper came a week later, Florent Chenot. I think he came from Lorient. He was part of the under-17 World Cup winners for France at the time. So yeah, quite a good signing for Brighton. Unfortunately for him, he didn't get as much game time as he wanted, but came in a week later, so we kind of helped each other as French lads. But I remember calling Kazim Richard, really nice lad. Came in first day, and he just said, "If you need anything, just let me know." He helped me move. He drove me at some place he knew, introduced me to the lad, showed me the town, which is a great city, by the way. Brighton is just great. It's a great place to live. Gotta say that. And then and then you've got some nice figure like Charlie Otway, which was Gus' project assistant at Brighton, funniest guy in the world. Guy Butler, and then another French lad came a little bit later, Alexandre Frutos from Metz. So it was free, like we were three French players, so we kind of helped each other. Especially, none of them could speak English. No. But well, we managed. We settled in, and then we played. So it's simple. Football is universal.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, how did you manage with the language? And did you? How long did it take you to kind of pick up? Did you pick up something in the dressing room, or did you have lessons, or was it just the in the squad that kind of helped?
No. I know. Sometimes when you've got small communities, they all stay together. But we didn't do that. We kind of mixed with everyone, so we could pick up our English like quite quick. Never took any lesson. Just picked up from people and from players and from around. I think it took a good 3 months to get the football jargon in, and then the rest. When you move out and you look for a flat, so you've got to step up and try your best to understand. In that way, when you apply, when you go for GP, same with doctors. So that gave me all the medical words that I needed, and then step by step, and then I only realized that I was bilingual when I signed for Leeds. Took my 6 weeks off, went on holidays, came back, first interview. I thought, wow, my English good. I thought, okay, I can speak now.
Nice yourself with it.
yeah, I was, yeah.
That's really good. So, and in that season, like you said, you played a good number of the, 43 of the 46 games, including that goal against Leeds in that 3-3 draw. Do you feel like you said that was that season Leeds were looking at you? Did you feel like there was bigger clubs looking at you or were you just enjoying your football and going out and seeing what happened?
Honestly, I've let my agent deal with all them rumors, football clubs watching you. I didn't know Leeds were interested until they actually called me. Um, and I think that what made me sign for Leeds, I think that the two games I played against Leeds, I think that was the two greatest games I had this season, away at Leeds and at home at Brighton. I think we won, I think, Brighton, I think. Well, we took 4 points at Leeds.
Yeah, I think it was
I think
2-1.
we won 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1-2-1 at home and drew away. And I think those two games made Kevin Blackwell like me, I think,
Yeah,
to be honest.
yeah. Well,
I,
it happens like that, doesn't it? I think so. You're probably right, you know. And obviously, unfortunately, they went down, didn't you, with Brighton that
yeah.
season? But obviously, you had another go at the Championship with Leeds the next season. But you returned to Brighton, Seb, didn't you, in sort of early 2009. Um, what was you thinking behind that one? Was it because you enjoyed Brighton as a place and a club, and why did you come back to Brighton?
Well, I think what my agent called me, I think I just left Darlington and say, do you want to go back to Brighton? There's an opportunity here. Mickey Adams is the manager who likes you. And I said, well, I've enjoyed my time first time there, so why not? Went back there. Mickey Adams, I think, left 3 weeks after I signed. Russell Slade came in, and again, it was an old change. I think I was involved in 2 or 3 games with Slade, and then didn't play a game after that. So I'm not going to say I did. Yeah, I haven't enjoyed it as much as the first time because I didn't get the game time I wanted. But at the same time, I wasn't the same player. I think I was still affected by leaving Leeds a little bit. And I wasn't performing as well as I wished or as well as I should have, I think. So no regrets here. I should have played better. If I wanted to play, I should have done better at the end of the day. But no, yeah, that's why I came back the second time. And then I'm sure you're going to talk about the third time.
Yeah, you kind of led me into it there, Seb. So you came back at the end of that year, and that's obviously your third spell at Brighton, and Gus Poyet was the manager there, wasn't he? So was that your primal reason for coming back to Brighton with Poyet in charge? Obviously, you'd been with him at Leeds, and did that obviously factor in that as well?
That was the reason. Well, basically, I was at Tranmere, and then heard that Gus Poyet took Brighton, so I just gave him a call and see if he wanted me around. And he just said, yeah, come down, Seb. Next day, I was in Brighton.
Right.
Same. The reason why I came was really Gus Poyet. It didn't quite work the way I wanted, but I still enjoyed it because of him. So I think he's a great manager, and honestly, the way what he's done for the club at Brighton, he's done some fantastic things for the club. To be honest, he's in what he said 4-5 years. So got them promoted to Championship, and then he kind of laid down the base for what they are now.
I would say that's about right, Seb. Actually, yeah, he did very good. He did very good things for Brighton, and like I say, I think he's paved the way for the way that they play now, and because they play some nice football, don't they, Brighton? And
really nice.
They do, and so what overall, Seb, did you enjoy about Brighton, and why do you think it kind of you gravitated to Brighton so much as you did?
Well, I've enjoyed the first time here when I signed in 2005. The people there, and again, Brighton is probably not as massive as Leeds in terms of history, but they've got a really great fan base. And the rivalry that they've got with Crystal Palace is just it's just something else. But now I've enjoyed my time there, so every time I had the opportunity to go back, I said, no, why not? Again, I said it's a great city to live in. It's not far from London, from airport. For me to go back to France, it was easy. So no, I don't. I think that was just opportunity to go back there to a club that I've enjoyed in the first place.
That's really good. It's really good to hear. It's great that you've got such a good memories of Brighton as well as Leeds. And yeah, I think, how do you feel like you did on the pitch at Brighton? Do you feel like you was going into those sort of second and third sort of spells there? Do you feel like you were at the same player as you were when you first joined them, or do you feel like you were a different player perhaps?
I think I was a different player, but I was only aware of this probably a few years ago after I retired. When you look back on your career and you think, was I the same player that was when I signed for Brighton? I was a young player, excited, motivated, dedicated to do well and to step back up into elite football. When you go back there and you 28, 29, and you just made one of the worst decisions in your career, you kind of, okay, if it doesn't go well, then okay, I'm not gonna work too hard about it. And this is where my mindset I wasn't really ready or strong enough to get back there. And okay, it's not over yet. Okay, you made a bad decision, but you still got a good 6, 7 years if you take care of yourself. But no, after the decision at Leeds, my career just went from there to there, never went back up. And well, this is why part of my job now is to advise young players not to do the same. I've made some mistakes and I learn from them, and I can advise for them not to do the same. But got to be strong mentally. If you know, then don't bother going to the football industry because it's really hard.
Yeah, I mean that's a shame that it obviously went that way for you, Seb, isn't it? Do you feel like obviously if you stayed at Leeds, you would have, perhaps played Premier League football maybe at some stage?
Well, I'm not sure about this, but I've lost you. Oh, okay, yeah. Not sure about this. We could never know, but definitely it would have shown a bit of a character of me. It would have shown a bit of the personality. I needed to be stronger. It doesn't matter if I had stayed and fought for my place, then it would have set up and laid down the mentality for after. And even if my contract was up after those 3 years, and Leeds decided not to keep me, I've stayed and I fight. Yeah. Now I live to regret it because I didn't.
Yeah, that's it. But like you say, you live and learn, don't you? Said you live and learn.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's Absolutely. What it's all about. So you touched on what you're doing briefly just there, Seb. What is it you're doing now? Obviously, you say you're retired. So what is it you're doing at the moment?
Now I'm a football agent myself.
Oh right, okay. Fabulous.
Yeah, started a company about 5 years ago with a friend, who is based in Manchester, and then we just look after young players. I didn't want to do that first, if I'm going to be honest. My friend started it a year before me, and harassed me to do it with him. Didn't want to because, well, football agents, they've got a bad reputation. They've got a reputation for looking after themselves before the player. Whereas, I'm always positive. I want to do it the right way. So I said, listen, if I come and join you, we look after young players and we give them our experience, so they can make better decisions for themselves. It doesn't matter whether it's in football or outside football, but they need our mistakes for them to learn. And I'm not saying that I've made a mistake and I'm not going to tell a player, oh, don't do this because it didn't work out for me, because it doesn't matter. It might work for him, but I'm going to tell you what happened to me so he can take that into his decision so he can make it better. So no, we look after young players from 15 we're not allowed, but from 16 onwards. So we look after them, we look after their career, we educate parents about the football industry because most of them don't know a thing about the football industry. It's really hard. They need to be aware of what's going on around it because football is not only on the pitch. A lot is going on outside of it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's really good, Seb. That's really good. So, best of luck with that. I hope you do well with that one. And so, going into the game then on Saturday, Seb, let's have a quick chat about the match. How do you see this one going, and what are your thoughts, obviously, on Leeds back in the Premier League at the, at this moment?
Can't believe it took them 16 years in the first place. Uh,
Yeah,
but no, listen. Last year, when Marcelo came, you could sense it that something was going to happen. All the club needed to do is to keep it at the club so we can make it happen, and they did. And see, I was talking about making the right decision.
yeah,
They did, and they
yeah,
no wonder why we're here now. It's all about making the right decision. The way, when I was there, the progression of the club
yeah,
is just unbelievable.
yeah.
It's just unbelievable. They had some up and down, a lot of downs, but since the chairman, the owner, stepped in, get the right team in, get the right manager, and you can see that the manager made the difference because he's still playing with the same player that was playing in the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't changed anything.
No.
He's got a couple of players in, but most of them, I remember if you're talking about Matthew, is it Klitsch? All right. He wasn't, I remember like 3-4 years ago, he wasn't playing, he was in a squad bomb.
No.
A bomb squad, sorry. He wasn't even getting 1 minute. Marcelo came in, turned him into the best player on the pitch.
Yeah.
So that's where manager can make the difference, and Marcelo Bielsa is that kind of manager. And last season was just amazing because went back into the Premier League, the academy get the Cat 1 club, so young players can play against elite players. But the club is in such a great place at the minute, and if we had to go back on the game on Saturday, is it on Saturday though?
Saturday is yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I can see Leeds win all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, Rafinha's in top form. Calvin Phillips, I'm not even talk about him. Is what it is for a few years now. Rodrigo start to settle into the Premier League stand up now. He needed a little bit time. Now he's in. The player that amazed me the most is Patrick Bamford, and I was there the match against Derby when we lost in semi-final.
Yeah.
And I was in the crowd and I could hear the fans talking about Bamford, saying he's not good enough, he's not this, he's not that.
Yeah.
Of course, you can criticize the player all the way and as long as you want, but you've got to give that man some respect. See how his work ethic, his dedication to work for the team. And people that don't think they didn't understand that because of all the effort that he puts in, of course he's going to be tired and he's going to miss some opportunities sometimes. So he's going to miss some, and that's because he gives so much energy into something else for the team. And I think that's why Marcelo Bielsa likes him or loves him even. It's because of this, and I'm happy for him now that he can do exactly the same and score goals because that's what he does now.
He's doing brilliantly well, and like you say, Seb, a lot of fans have had it, have criticised him in the past, and fair play to him. He's doing magnificently well.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of, with your son being involved in the youth setup, Seb? Do you have any kind of contact with the first team or with Marcelo himself, or do you kind of stay away from that kind of side of things?
No, for now I'm kind of step away from it. The only person I'm in touch at the club is the sporting director, Victor Horta. We chat at times. And I'm trying to suggest some players I think are good enough for the club. And we'll have a chat about this and
what's he
like? Good relationship that I've got.
What's he like, Seb? Because he seems a bit of a character, Victor Horta.
Oh yeah, no, Victor's great. Well, first and foremost, as an agent and people in my line of work will know that sporting director can be hard work sometimes. While Victor is very easygoing. What I like the most about him is if you call him or if you WhatsApp him, if you text him, he'll always get back to you. Always. If he doesn't like a player you suggest, he'll explain you why.
Yeah.
He'll explain you why you can't do this or why we can't do him. If he likes someone, same, he'll be honest. And when you've got an honest discussion with someone, got to give him respect. And I like the relationship with him. And I'll always suggest players that I find him suitable for the club. I'll always suggest that to him. because he'll listen. That's his
Yeah.
decision to make after if he's right for the club or not. But
Yeah, he seems like a real character, to be honest with you, Seb. And he's done a great job as Victor Rota and Angus Kinnear as well, and obviously Radrazani, everybody. It's a real family, like I said before, real family feel to the club at the moment, which is great, which is what you want. But going on to Brighton then, Seb, I mean, what do you feel like about Brighton? Obviously in the Premier League, been in there for some time now. How do you see them this season, and you know, well, this season, and how do you see them? How do you see them playing so far this season?
well, as I said, I think going back a few years, Gus laid down the philosophy at the base for the club. And if you look at Brighton plays, they play a very, very attractive football. I mean, I enjoy watching them. I don't want to criticize any other team, but you'll have teams that will play a more direct football, which I enjoy a little bit less. Because I know people, fans, everybody wants some results, where I will watch a football game differently. I'm not a fan of any particular team because I've enjoyed just football team that plays the right way, or a certain way. And Brighton is the kind of team that plays the way I like. And now I think it doesn't matter what manager you've got in. Well, you've got a good one now with Potter. But it doesn't matter who you get in. You had Chris Hughton before, and he was playing the right way. And they'll do well. Brighton, I could feel it years ago that they would be in the Premier League someday. And I think I could sense it when Tony Bloom took in charge back in 2009. He's invested so much first in the stadium. He gave them structure, and that's the only thing the club needed. And they've got that, and now there's a well-established club in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's good to see. You know, like you say, Seb. I mean, I'm a big Leeds United fan, obviously, but Brighton, I do quite like the way they play. You know, I think they do play really nice football. It's going to be a good game. I think good footballing game on Saturday night. I think, and I'm looking forward to it. But I will I will just ask you for a score prediction, Seb, just to to round it all off. What do you feel like the score's going to be on Saturday?
I still think we'll win 3-1.
Yeah.
The reason because I don't think Brighton will match fitness-wise. I mean, Leeds will get all of them, and if they don't give as much space as they gave against Man U game, then no, Brighton will have no chance.
Yeah, I think if we're on it, Seb, I think we will beat them fairly comfortably. They're struggling a little bit, aren't they, down the back bottom end of the league, and I think this would be a really important win for us to just give that little bit of daylight in between us and the bottom three. So yeah, yes. But thank you very much for coming on anyway and chatting to me, Seb.
No, George, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. It's been really good fun. So thanks very much, mate. And all the best to you, and all the best to your family, and to Keenan as well. Hopefully we'll see him in the first team soon. But thanks very much. Take care.
Well, thank you, George. Yeah, you take care of yourself. Take care. Bye bye.